We have been fluoridating our water in Tennessee for more than 50 years, but never before has there been more talk than that fluoridating our water might be a bad idea and a health risk. Tonight, Dennis Ferrier has the latest developments on a story that impacts all of us.
Joey Hensley is a respected physician. He's also a Tennessee state lawmaker. He is now combining those two professions to make a very strong point.
We've been doing it 50 years. But just because we've been doing something 50 years doesn't necessarily mean that it's right.
Hensley's talking about something most of us don't even think about, fluoridating water. After much research, the doctor has sent out a letter to every water district in Tennessee asking them to stop fluoridating water. That fluoridation is medication added to water without your permission, and that's wrong. But most of all, because the National Research Council believes young children are getting 3 to 4 times the dose of fluoride as adults. And now the American Dental Association is telling mothers not to make baby formula with fluoridated water because of fear of dental fluorosis.
And that's big news, and that really hasn't been publicized very much.
Health researcher Dan Stockin believes that this ADA warning about baby formula and fluoride is just the beginning.
The ramifications of this are so huge, I'm sure that the state health department hasn't quite figured it out yet. Because see, once the door cracks, and it is now for what it does to teeth, the next group, one of the next groups that's going to start raising their hands and saying, what about us, is people who are on dialysis and people who have borderline kidney damage and impairment. Then there's all the people that have hypothyroidism.
Scientists like Nobel Prize winner Arvid Carlson and a large group of EPA scientists have called for the banning of fluoride because we don't know how much we're ingesting, so we don't know if we're being poisoned.
Look, just if people want fluoride, let them use fluoridated toothpaste and spit it out, but don't go poisoning everyone. Don't continue this after everyone knows all this information now just because it's not convenient.
Dr. Hensley has already had one response. Spring City in Ray County is going to stop fluoridating its water, and it is that simple. I mean, there's no law. It's all voluntary, Dan, so anyone can turn on the fluoride or turn it off.
Dennis, let's make sure we're clear on this. Fluoride, it is in tea, it's in coffee, it's in water, it's in bread, it's in toothpaste, but it's actually a poison, right?
It sure is, and here's the quickest evidence. Go to your bathroom and pick up your toothpaste, and you'll see a warning that if a child swallows more than a pea-sized amount of toothpaste, call poison control.
Wow.
we consume it every day with the reassurance from our health authorities that it is doing us good. The truth is, fluoride is a poison, and adding it to our drinking water is an evolving social experiment started 40 years ago. Now one of the world's top fluoride experts has issued a grim warning about what it could be doing to our health and that of unborn children. Yet as Frank Pengello reports, you'll get a different spin from dentists and health bureaucrats.
We consider that as a poison. Why should a poison be in drinking water?
The poison is fluoride. It's there because government health bureaucrats and dentists tell us it's for our common good, for reducing tooth decay, and at levels which won't harm you. That doesn't wash with Professor A.K. Sushila.
They should realize it's the poisonous substance. It doesn't promote health. It is a disease-causing agent, and the fluoridation should be stopped as early as possible.
Professor Sushila is one of the world's leading experts on fluoride. Her own extensive research, along with 70 years of data in India, backs up what she's saying, and it's most disturbing.
I would consider a pregnant mother taking fluoride-contaminated products, I'm using the word products, which includes water, toothpaste, black tea, processed food products which has fluoride.
Any liquid?
Anything. Where her urinary fluoride is high, she is going to cause a lot of damage to the fetus, the growing embryo, the infant which is going to be born.
The American Dental Association warns against using fluoridated water to mix baby formula. Not so here.
They don't read, they are not aware, they don't update themselves, they don't do any research. So we are in a serious problem.
Professor Sushila says exposure to fluoride could also be the cause of many ills like neck, shoulder and joint pains, which may be misdiagnosed by doctors. She routinely does urine tests to check fluoride levels in her patients.
Remove the fluoride ingestion, starting from toothpaste, black tea, fluoridated water, whatever, and you bring down the urinary fluoride to normal limits, the patient recovers.
Fluoride is also used as a preservative and also lurks in many products we consume. But apart from toothpaste, it's not listed on labels.
So it is coming into one's body through many sources, and you are not aware of it.
The fluoride that goes into our drinking water is toxic waste from the production of fertiliser.
For maybe 100 years, the phosphate fertilizer industry put out two very, very poisonous gases into the environment, hydrogen fluoride and silicon tetrafluoride. Eventually, they were required to capture those, and they did it with a wet spray, water, and that water converts these two very toxic gases into hexafluorosilicic acid. And it's this scrubbing liquor, which is about 25% strong, is put into tanker trucks, driven around the country, and added to our drinking water.
Here's what's in the mix made in Australia, a sickening cocktail of heavy metals like arsenic, barium, beryllium, cadmium, lead, mercury, and on it goes, and in much higher concentrations than is allowed for lead and arsenic.
Why should you make people drink a poisoned water?
Well, it's forced medication for the masses, and there are more than 1,000 doctors and scientists around the world who, like Professor Sushila, condemn what's going on.
The problem with adding medicine to water is an obvious one of consent, that people can't give their informed consent, which is a basic of medical ethics.
Most European countries do not fluoridate. Austria, Belgium, the Netherlands, France, Germany, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Iceland, Italy, Greece, Portugal. The overwhelming number of countries in the world do not fluoridate, and guess what? Their teeth are just as good, if not better, than ours.
It aggravates dental decay. The tooth gets pitted, perforated, it gets chipped off, it breaks, and also at a much younger age, the people will become edentulous, means they will lose their teeth.
The anti-fluoride movement says while there's ample evidence to support what they're saying, governments still refuse to listen or fund research to study the impact it has on health,
including many in the Washington area. The American Dental Association calls fluoridation one of the best public health ideas ever.
Absolutely, fluoride is safe. It's effective. It has reduced the decay rate in the population by about 20 to 40% over the last 60 years.
But today, 600 health professionals and scientists, including Dr. Arvid Carlsson, a Nobel laureate of medicine, are calling on Congress to ban the use of fluoride immediately. Among the petitioners, Bob Carton, a former Environmental Protection Agency scientist. He says fluoridating water was a mistake from the beginning.
It was a foolish thing to do years ago. They didn't have enough information. They hadn't really been tested.
In fact, a 2005 Centers for Disease Control study found too much fluoride has caused irreversibly discolored teeth in 1 out of 3 children. And a major report by the National Academy of Sciences says toxic levels can lead to severe, permanent pitting of the enamel in children. Fluoride can also build up in the bones to cause pain, stiff joints, and skeletal abnormalities when they get older.
It's a cumulative poison. It just gradually builds up and it gradually causes harm.
But the EPA isn't about to make any quick decisions about the Academy's finding that toxic levels of fluoride must be drastically lowered. Last November, concerns over excess fluoride prompted the American Dental Association to warn parents not to mix baby formula with tap water during an infant's first 12 months.
So given an infant's small weight, certainly we've put recommendations out there for mothers.
And for years, the Food and Drug Administration has required warning labels to keep toothpaste out of the reach of children under 6, and if swallowed, to get medical help or contact a poison control center right away. In 2005, more than 22,000 people did.
When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing,
Behind some of these innocent young smiles lurks a hidden enemy, one which these children and their parents have been blissfully unaware of, until it develops into something like this. Dental fluorosis. Its unsightly stains are permanent and can deform young teeth.
The teeth have mottling over most of the surface. He's been ingesting too much fluoride over at least 6 to 7 years.
Retired dentist Dr. Jeffrey Smith has waged an anti-fluoride crusade for 2 decades, believing young teeth have overdosed on fluoride. Even his own granddaughter has not escaped this controversial chemical.
If she continues to be overexposed to fluoride for the next 25 to 30 years, it won't just be Jade's teeth that we're worried about.
Dr. Smith's gathered evidence suggesting excessive fluoride not only discolors and deforms teeth, but can lead to bone disorders in later life.
There is a very good chance they'll get osteoporosis and similar bone problems.
So where do we get our fluoride from? Well, we find it primarily in toothpaste, in tablet form as a dietary supplement, in infant formulas, and of course in our fluoridated water supply. But whatever you do, according to Dr. Smith, you're still at risk from an excess of fluoride from other areas.
Fluoride toothpaste, fluoride tablets, fluoride mouth rinses, fluoride gels and paint.
Toothpaste advertising has generally shown liberal portions of toothpaste being squeezed onto a brush. It was always assumed whether you were 5 or 55, it didn't matter how much you used.
Fluoride in Fluorogard gets into the enamel like liquid gets into this chalk.
Oh, it does get in.
So if it's been considered safe for children to use a full-strength fluoride toothpaste, why is it that Colgate-Palmolive have actually introduced a junior version with less than half the fluoride content? Could it mean that up until now, children have actually been overdosing on fluoride in toothpaste? And there's more to come. Skeletal fluorosis, the growing incidence overseas of bone disorders and hip fractures attributed to fluoride.
Most people are only familiar with their toothpaste tube. It says fluoride on it. And we've always thought that fluoride just prevents cavities, and we've been doing it for about 50 years or more. The issue is that a bunch of information has now come out that we're not just getting fluoride in our toothpaste. We're getting it in our water, and we're getting it in a lot of other sources. But what people don't know is that fluoride is actually a poison. If you look on the back of your toothpaste tube, you'll see there's a warning. Because if a child swallows more than is used for brushing, it says to call the Poison Control Center. Most people never really read that. So the thing that we start talking to people about is that fluoride is a cumulative poison, and that's a really key point. What that means is the little bits that you get over the years start adding up, and it's the cumulative lifetime effect that can cause a number of health problems. And most people don't know that fluoride comes out of the earth. It looks kind of like this. It's just it's calcium fluoride. This is where it's usually found in earth. But the kind of fluoride that we use today to add to our drinking water to prevent cavities in kids, entirely different than this. It's been going on for about 50 years. And so now we've had our first full generation of people who've grown up getting little doses of this accumulating poison. And that's one of the key issues, is that's why the health effects are happening. You know, a lot of times we have these chronic diseases in our country. People have these diseases that come upon them. You're not quite sure what caused it. You know, why do I have something like achy joints, or what did I do that maybe is causing a thyroid problem? Well, we're finding after 50 years of fluoridating now that a lot of the diseases we call diseases of aging or chronic diseases, and even some that are not age-related, are directly tied or at least exacerbated by, made worse by the fluoride from all the different sources that we get the fluoride. And I'd like to show up on the screen, if y'all can put, there's, we have some pictures of what's called moderate and severe dental fluorosis. And what this is, these are pictures of people who have moderate and severe forms of this. If when you're a young child, you get enough fluoride while your second set of teeth are forming, and you can also, they can also show the second picture that we have here. What happens is if you get too much fluoride when you're young, when those teeth are forming, you get discolorations of your teeth, or you get pits, kind of like golfing divots in your teeth. Now, a certain percentage of the population, this has now been admitted, are going to have the moderate and severe forms. In fact, 32% of all children now have very mild, moderate, or severe. And certain populations have a higher percentage of the moderate and severe forms, which we just showed the pictures of. And that's what's really critical. If you know, if your viewers know anyone who has that kind of staining on their teeth or those divots in their teeth, this is something to look into, because it may be being caused by fluoride. And the thing about it is that certain populations are more sensitized to this and demonstrate it more. For instance, the Centers for Disease Control says now that about 3.5% of blacks aged 6 to 39 have the moderate and severe forms. Now, that's pretty significant, 3.5%. Hispanics are approximately 4%, and Caucasians are approximately 2%, or a little bit less. And so the issue about this is, in fact, certain areas of the country that have been long fluoridated, have the most water fluoridation for the longest time, have the worst problem. For instance, in 1990 in Augusta, Georgia, if you can believe this, 80% of the blacks had very mild, moderate, or severe, and 14% had those, like what's on those pictures. 14%. Now, for me, I think if I had that, I don't happen to have it, I would say to myself, is this the price I'm forced to pay for this fluoride, especially when it doesn't even prevent cavities the way we said it is.
And it has been admitted that that is the real problem. I mean, there's no question as to whether or not fluoride is the culprit in this instance.
In dental fluorosis, like we have those pictures, it's 100% caused by that, no doubt about it. It's caused from all the different sources of fluoride. And let me talk about another one, skeletal fluorosis. Fluoride, when you ingest it, deposits in your bones, very primarily. It also goes in your joints. And your viewers who are watching this, if you know how 1 out of 3 American adults have some form of arthritis now? Ask yourself, did your doctor ever ask you or look into the idea whether skeletal fluorosis could be causing your joint pain? It turns out that we have a couple physicians in the Nashville area who were there so upset at this, they said, no one told us, we didn't learn this, that the symptoms of arthritis mimic those of early stage skeletal fluorosis. So a large number of Americans could be being misdiagnosed, and they're saying it's arthritis when it's actually skeletal fluorosis. So,
and there's probably more that you might be able to do against the skeletal osteoporosis than you could against arthritis.
Well,
I mean,
a simple thing to do.
A preventive kind of thing that
well,
you could do.
a simple thing to do. It's maybe not that easy to address once you have it, but the simple thing to do is reduce your fluoride intake. And some people have dramatic turnarounds when they just stop drinking fluoridated water or getting fluoride in certain foods. Another thing, now this is really amazing. One of the top 5 prescription medicines in our country prescribed today is a thyroid medication. A lot of people have hypothyroidism. And guess what fluoride does? It causes or exacerbates it. And the issue with that is when you have lowered thyroid, you know what one of the side effects is? Your body temperature drops, and you don't burn as much weight off of you, and you gain weight. I mean, I think this is amazing information. People who have gained weight and they just don't know why. Why did this come on me like this?
It might be because not only are they consuming other things, but they too much fluoride. Is that what
right? It could be causing some thyroid condition. It's not weight gain is not only caused by fluoride, but and of course, you know, here's the thing. Lack of fluoride doesn't cause cavities. Your body doesn't have to have fluoride. What causes cavities is too many sugary foods. Bottom line. Key populations are also more sensitive. For instance, if you have kidney damage, your body, if your kidneys work well, you urinate out about half of the fluoride you ingest. The rest of it stores in your body. But if you have impaired kidney function, if you have heart disease, if you have a poor diet, not enough calcium in it, you're going to be more affected by fluoride. The people who are the poorest, who can't afford to buy bottled water, can't afford to filter their water, they get the most from the water. And that bothers me personally as a public health professional.